The purpose of this video is to answer perhaps the most common question that I get on a day-to-day basis, which is, what are my visa options to migrate permanently to Australia? Now, what people don't understand is that the migration system to Australia is complex in nature. However, in terms of the visas that grant permanent residency, there's only a finite number. So what we're going to do, we're going to go through each one in a bit more detail. So hopefully you can leave this video understanding exactly which is the best pathway for you to obtain your permanent residency to Australia. Now, before we go into the visas in any more detail, I encourage you to download the PDF document that's available, which will be the same graphic that's behind me. Now, the benefit of you having it there in front of you as we're going through each of the visas is that I promise you, by the time we finish having a talk about all the different visa subclasses and how they all connect, is that you're going to have a much better understanding of your best options and best pathway to permanent residency. Although in the other video that you might have seen where we discussed the Australian visa map, there was a much larger variety of visa options available, at least listed on that diagram for you. However, statistically speaking, the majority of people will apply for one of these visas. Now, that's why I've developed this graphic for you. It's to simplify and make it very clear for you to understand that more often than not, you're going to be applying for one of these visas if you're trying to qualify for permanent residency. So what we have here in the first third up here, as you can see, the short-term temporary visa options are what we like to call vehicles. They're visas that allow you to come into Australia. They get you in lawfully and legitimately, but they expire. They only have a very short-term lifespan. So you have things like working holiday visas, student visas and tourist visas. Often people might come in on a working holiday visa first, not be able to find an employer, not be able to qualify for skilled migration, and not be able to find an Australian partner. So they have to resort to a student visa to extend their stay, to potentially look to find an employer, look to get qualified in a skilled job, or find an Australian partner. You never know. Same thing happens with tourist visa applicants. They come in on a tourist visa first, and in the same pathway, they try to find an employer. They potentially can apply for a skilled visa depending on their qualifications and experience from back home, or they might already have an Australian partner, come in on a tourist visa, and then apply for the partner visa from inside Australia. Once you're in on one of these temporary visas, okay, these are not permanent residency in themselves. They can qualify or make you eligible for permanent residency depending on the requirements of those particular visas. A 457 visa, for example, is an employer-sponsored visa that can qualify for permanent residency depending on your particular circumstances. Now, the permanent residency equivalents or big brothers of the 457 are things like the ENS and the RSMS, okay? Then you have the permanent residency equivalents of the skilled visas. You have the 189, the 190 and the 887. Now, they're all quite specific and different in their requirements, but essentially they all grant permanent residency. Then you also have the permanent partner visa. Now, when you apply for a partner visa, more often than not, you're going to qualify for the temporary visa first, and eventually you'll be eligible for the permanent partner visa. So in summary, and I hope it's been clear for you to understand that although there are many different visa options, most commonly you're going to qualify for permanent residency through one of these streams, okay? You have employed-sponsored visas, you have skilled visas, and you have family visas, or specifically partner visas that fall within the family visa categories. But there are ways into them, okay? Most commonly, people will come in on these types of temporary visas first. You use them as a vehicle to legitimately and genuinely come into Australia. You're not breaching any visa conditions. You're doing exactly what those visas are designed to do. However, you can and you may become eligible to apply for the next phase of your process, your next phase of your migration to Australia, applying for a much longer term, short-term visa. Now you have, like I said, the sponsored visas, the skilled and the family. Now they themselves can eventually qualify you for permanent residency. So they have their permanent residency equivalents down here, okay? So please, again, follow through the PDF. If you haven't already downloaded, have it there in front of you and go through it in a bit more detail, because I promise you it does clarify the migration system in a much more concise way than the information that's available out there. It's why I've created it, and this is what I use in my consultations with clients. If they ever ask me, Martin, what are my options for permanent residency? I sit them down in front of this graphic, not this big one, I have a little one, and we go, this is your options. This is what you're going to qualify under, okay? So I genuinely hope that this video has been helpful for you. And if you're ready to continue on or to commence your migration journey to Australia and would like me to process your visa, please contact me at www.salvomigration.com.au today.